Hello again. I thought it was time to post another video because I'm talking to myself a lot in my head. And so when that seems to be happening, I feel like, well, it might be helpful for me to actually talk to the camera and to talk to you, whoever you are. I'm not really expecting anybody to really watch these videos, but nevertheless, I think it's good practice for me and hopefully get some of these thoughts and ideas out of my head into the atmosphere, and maybe they'll go away. Anyway, nothing untoward, all good things, really. So I do have to make a list because otherwise I'm going to forget stuff. So I just wanted to mention that I'm not doing anything fancy with these videos. Like, I've seen some really great sort of homemade videos on YouTube, and um, you know, people go to a lot of trouble, like great lighting, good microphone, nice editing, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'm really not up for any of that. So I'm just making these recordings on my iPad and just going with whatever. So, yeah, just wanted to make that clear. So, let's see. Um, yeah, I thought I'd mention today a couple of YouTube videos that I've been watching that I could recommend, or channels that I find interesting. One of them is called Living Myth, and it's the work of a man named Michael Meade, who uh, talks a bit about sort of politics in the world and different things going on. And then he usually incorporates a story that he finds helpful in understanding and perhaps even coping with current conditions. I mean, everybody, well, not everybody, but it seems like many people are anxious and worried about what's going on in the world. And as he says, it's both kind of a climate and a cultural crises of various sorts, globally. And this last episode that he posted is called World Upside Down. And I found it fascinating. I'm going to have to listen to it again because I couldn't really take it all in just one listening. But yeah, it's definitely worth a listen to if mythology is something that you might be interested in, and really how that can help us in various ways. So I wanted to mention that. And also Patti Smith. I don't know how many of you might be fans of Patti Smith. We had an opportunity to see her perform in Dublin this past October, thanks to my nephew, who came for a visit and got tickets for us and himself and his partner. And gosh, it was a great concert. I admit that I was not really into Patti Smith's music years ago, but she has such a great presence. She is just so relaxed. She's just herself, really, which is that's the most you can expect from anybody. And it's an inspiration. And I suppose partly watching her small little video messages that she posts on Substack, and it's just her talking for a few minutes about one thing or another. And I could highly recommend those, even if you're not a musical fan. It's interesting, she considers herself more a writer than a musician, which is interesting. She's written a number of books and poetry, and so there's a book. One of her first books, I think, is called Just Kids, and it's about her living in New York at the Chelsea Hotel back in the day, and so definitely worth a read. And the other interesting video that I watched recently was called, the channel is called Inside Irish Music. And the name of the episode was called The Music We Lost. And it was really interesting. I thought the narrator did a really good job. I didn't catch his name. He talked about the famine and here in Ireland, and of course that's a very big deal in terms of recovery and healing. That is important that happen as time goes by. But he talked more about something called the Great Silence, which happened post-famine or directly maybe towards the end of the famine. And the Great Silence, it had to do with the music disappearing and the relationship that people had with music. It was a really, really interesting insight, and so I could highly recommend that as well. So the other thing I just, because this is kind of my mission with these little missives, is to talk about aging in place and especially aging here in Ireland and how that's going. And I got an interesting letter in the mail from the GP's office and signing me up for a meeting with a dietitian because my last blood test, my blood sugar was like one number above normal. So that's not a lot, but I have since been signed up for a program called the National, The National Diabetes Prevention Program. And so I'll keep you apprised what's going on with that. But I got a book in the mail today, which was just amazing. So much information and lots of like worksheets and things. And I'm also signed up for an online support group, which starts in February. So I just thought, how great it is. I think it's a new program that's just gotten started, but it's to help people to not go forward into a full-blown type 2 diabetes. So it's kind of like trying to nip it in the bud. And I just thought that, it's a really great program. And, lots of people might be complaining about one thing or another about the healthcare system over here. And I know there's plenty to complain about. But, there's a lot of good things, too. And I think this is one of them. And it's free of charge. Get this, well, I'll show you the book next time because I left it downstairs. But anyways, that's pretty interesting, I think. Trying to be proactive. And I'm going to try to do my bit, although I do love sugar. So it's definitely challenging. And the other thing I wanted to mention, if anybody listens to any of these videos and that might be thinking of moving to Ireland, and they don't have Irish citizenship, I strongly suggest that people reconsider or look into getting an Irish passport before moving here. And just to say that I don't think that we would actually be able to stay here if we didn't have Irish citizenship. It can be extremely expensive to stay. There's a lot of forms to fill out and stuff like that. Whereas if you have your Irish passport, you're an Irish citizen, and so it just makes things so much easier. So anyway, if I can think of anything else to add to that aspect of living over here, I'll try to make some notes on that for down the road. And there's just one more thing. I had mentioned before that I might share some of my artwork on these videos just to kind of I don't know, do something different. So because I'm not doing any editing or, anything fancy, I'm just going to show you a piece of art that I did. When was it? Might have been 2 years ago now. I don't have a date on it. Anyway, I'm going to just show it to the, there we go. There, yeah, that's about as best as I can do. I do like it. It's watercolor and it's on a wooden piece of board. And I call it belonging because the tree is blue, but the landscape is green. And so it's like the tree belongs to the landscape, even though it's different. And the story behind it is that there was a local gallery in Sligo called Hamilton Gallery, and they did a combination program with the EU, which was opening an office in downtown Dublin, and they had some gallery space. So they had a call for art kind of a thing, and there was no fee to submit. So you could submit 2 paintings. So I got it in my head that I had never done anything like that before. I submitted 2 pieces, and they didn't choose, this was one, but they didn't choose this one. They did choose the other one, which was kind of cool. Although I really have very mixed feelings about competitions and, other people judging your art and all that kind of thing. But it did inspire me to do a couple of pieces that I think I normally wouldn't have done a certain way. Anyways, I'm not doing any more of that. I did decide that I just love doing my artwork for myself and any friends or family that are interested in looking at it. Also, I do enjoy doing some greeting cards and Christmas cards and stuff like that, so I can just send those out into the world. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.